Followed by an invocation by Helen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, thank you for this town. Thank you for this country. Help us to do the right thing and make it so the future, so people enjoy this beautiful town with us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Item number 3, approval of minutes of April 13th. Any changes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, we need to-
Minutes are-
We need to back up roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's in a
Roll
hurry.
call. I didn't want to get yelled at.
Who wants to get to the deck?
Virginia Brown. Angela Cameron. Frank Heckman.
Here.
David Lamont.
Here.
Truman G.
Here.
Timothy Kasadakis.
Here.
Helen Humphrey.
Here.
Tracy Beamer.
Here.
Daniel Webster.
Have a quorum.
Okay.
Need a motion to approve minutes of May 11th.
So moved.
Any changes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, staff reports. Code enforcement.
Here you come.
Well, he was there.
Where'd he go?
He's over here getting the
Oh, he's getting his stuff.
presentation set up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Our June report for the code enforcement. Phase 1 is 99% complete between Main Street and International.
Could I ask one thing? By complete, do you mean everything is now in compliance or
No, everything's been
seen?
written up. In
Okay.
our- there's a lot more going on
Okay.
at this point. Last year, from January to today, we're 144 total were written up last year. This year is 502.
Whoa.
Busy man.
No, it's everybody's writing up.
Yeah.
So if you see the difference
Wow.
between last year's, 90% of the cases are, of course, maintenance codes. That would be 2010 would be the blue and 2011 in red. All the dots are all the houses and properties have been written up.
That's phenomenal.
Wouldn't it have been easier to show us the ones that hadn't?
Yes, except for the computer does that for me. Just say, show me what's there.
Yeah.
It's a little small, but it was broken down into, abandoned buildings, totals, and it's a little small, but the total again for this month, well, between 5/4 and 6/8, 213 more properties were opened, and 121 were closed. For the whole, this one's for 2010. Of course, we have the total from the beginning of Daytona Proud to now, 394, and 191 closed. So the other number was just this month. These are the cases going to code board tomorrow.
Some of these are so bad.
14 North Hollywood for all of these things here.
I'm so glad to hear that.
34 South Hollywood. This is the after picture. Was repainted, so they're going tomorrow, but it'll be canceled. It'll be removed, and they're going to be scrubbing and cleaning these walls. 209 South Hollywood was sold this last month, so I have to re-site. It was going tomorrow. This is the new owner. 229 South Grandview was in code board already. It looks like this front porch, we had to get a engineer to go out and do an engineering on it. And it looks like they're gonna have to tear off that whole front porch. At this point, no one's allowed on the second floor.
Did it pass the color code?
No, everything, the whole building, they have a lot to put in that building.
On the second floor of the balcony or the second floor of the...
Second floor of the balcony, the house is fine. The house was passed. And there's some stairs in the back of the property also. But this whole thing here was leaning forward,
Yeah.
so it was a mess. 707's also going tomorrow. It was also foreclosed on and was taken back by the new owner, and we're going to give him more time. It's up to the board, actually, whether they're going to give more time. But he was with Jeannie today, picking out colors for that property, and so it's supposed to be. He's putting up a fence, and he's doing a lot of work on it. I mean, he's going to do a lot of stuff on it, and of course the back property also. That's a new fence, and this right here. It says downtown redevelopment. Can I use that for Main Street? So then there's no ordinance for Main Street for having recreational vehicles, other than the normal one for the whole Daytona, which means it has to be in the back of the property.
Yeah.
Right. So then, yeah.
What is it for, his backyard or screen, so you can't see it from...
Right. So,
Side
but this property here has the address on the other side. So this is the back.
But is it still not supposed to be visible though, right? Isn't that how it works? Or I can't remember the...
If it's in the side, you have to have a 6-foot fence and some things to cover it. If it's in the back, I'm pretty much stuck. I've been trying to get rid of that.
Well, I think we need to talk tomorrow about that and go over what
Other
the
things we can
solutions
use?
are.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
This is the property on Earl Street.
That's one of my photographs that
And so this is all being repaired, and they are pulling their permit. I told him he had to be there tomorrow because I talked to him about 2 hours ago, and I told him there was no permit pulled, and they had put it on the wrong parcel, so I did find it. So they're painting, and they're putting all new blocks and rebuilding it and doing it up nice.
Questions?
Wasn't there something in the...
Truman, could you use your microphone? I can't hear you down here.
Wasn't there something in the design guidelines that said any structure that was repainted in the redevelopment zone had to be approved by this board? I thought I remember reading that in there.
Yeah, I thought that was.
And I don't hear them
Repaint?
quite often say they repainted the house and...
No, not,
I
there's...
thought we did have,
Not
No,
repainted, no.
No, if you're talking about painting, I mean, we approve paints and paint colors administratively,
Yeah.
In the redevelopment.
yeah.
right, in redevelopment.
Maybe it just said it had to be approved, just not necessarily by this board.
That is correct.
Okay, all right.
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
First of all, on my back parking lot, the old Harley Davidson building that used to be the ticket part of the old theater. When I was on the back of my parking lot, a piece of the roof of the building has fallen onto my parking lot, and also some of the concrete or plaster on the back of that building. There's about a 10-foot section that has fallen off onto the parking lot. So that's Main Street, and it's the entrance to the old Beach Theater. And Harley Davidson or Mr. Rossmeyer used that as a storefront. It's empty now, but the back part backs up onto a parking lot.
Is there an address or?
Is that down Hollywood?
No, that's
Backside of you?
on Main Street. It's on Main Street. It's the back of the building. My building is 500, so it must be close to that.
It's on the south side of Main Street.
Just east of Helen?
Yeah.
That's those steps that are in the back.
Steps? Yeah, also there's storage there. For a while, there was somebody that had a cigar, rented that and had cigars
Oh,
that
okay.
they
I
were
know exactly the
selling.
building you're talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
I'd put him out.
Okay, well, it has some of his stuff that is still stored on there, and a great big tarpaulin, great big blue tarpaulin that's sort of
Oh, I saw that,
flopping.
yeah. On the inside of the building.
It's
A
on the
cigar
outside.
and the tattoo, supposed.
Yeah, but on the outside of my parking lot is the tarpaulin, and then when you stand there and look at the building, you'll see the section that has fallen off, and a part of the metal roof has fallen off. So, I mean, rain and all's going to get in there.
All right.
And I had another question. Down there where the First Presbyterian Church is, right in the driveway of the place to the west of it, for like the last 8 months, there's been a great big motorhome parked there, and people are living in there. I just wondered if that's,
In the back of it?
no, it's,
Revelo or Braddock?
well, you know, the entrance to First Presbyterian Church.
Okay, that's Revelo.
Okay, and right in the driveway that you can see from the church, the house next door has a great big motorhome that's been there for months.
That's
and
that White
months.
House just to the south.
To the west of First Presbyterian Church on Revelo.
Isn't that owned by them or no?
No, no,
Okay.
I'm just curious. I mean, it's been there for months, and I just wondered. It's been there at least 8 months.
Okay. I'll take a look.
Okay.
It must have been written up because that whole area was written up, so.
Okay.
Thank you. Just in terms of paint colors, and I know we're Main Street South A1A, but I'm really curious, is that lime yellowy green building downtown, is that an approved paint color?
We must be speaking of our new yogurt business on Bay and Beach.
Yeah.
That is an approved color.
Okay, do we have those kinds of colors in the Main Street South A1A area? It might be worth actually
Right.
looking at our colors if that's in the approved color palette.
Yes.
I mean, I'd follow up with Truman. I think, I don't know what our approved colors are.
don't think
I
there
would
is an
be
answer
very
to that.
interested in seeing them, because I wouldn't want that color anywhere in the city, much less at least in the things we oversee. So I'm just suggesting
We did have.
at a future board, like next month.
We did have a series of colors of what you could put in the Main Street area. I remember that.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's correct, and we can certainly revisit that with you
okay.
next month.
Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Timmy?
In your inspection of properties and the area, how many citations are you giving for people parking up on their front lawns and not in approved driveways? I don't mean how many, like, give me a number, but are you actually doing that? Because every day I go in the community, either in my police car or my own, and these people are parking right up in their front yards, on their front lawns. Now, that certainly is an eyesore, and it certainly should not be. There is an ordinance against parking up in your front yard. What are we doing about it?
They were out on Wednesdays, and when they're out from like 9 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon writing them up, if they see it, they'll write it up. It might not be there at the time that they're writing it. It might be there in the evening when you're driving around. And there's, if we see it, it's getting written up. A photo's taken, and then it's documented. And they'll take them to code board, and if there's a problem, they'll get a will fine.
All right, now people that are not parking area of the side yard or the backyard that is not approved parking, gravel or cement or whatever, is that a violation?
Well, you can park on your side yard, and if there's a fence and we can't see what it's parking on, we're not allowed to go up and look over a fence. You know, we do most of our job from the front of the house, or we can walk up where it's normally, and that's part of the Constitution, and that's part of the things that we have to do. We can't go look over a fence, but if we see a problem, we'll write it up.
Well, most of the problems are between sundown and sunup.
Yeah, he's right.
Okay?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, but it's being done wholesale, really. Now, I can appreciate people can't park by their home or so on, but they should have known that before they bought the house. Many of these homes in the area where I live on the beach side were single-family homes, all divided up. So instead of having one car for the family and then later the wife getting another car, now you've got 4 units in a one-unit type building. And where are they going to park? So they park up on the grass. And if you would see at the corner of Fifth Avenue and Old Leander, where they have that rehab on the northwest corner.
It's back again?
And if you look at the grass, it's nothing but tire marks all in there. Used to be beautiful front yard.
Yep, so it was a nice house.
It was, but it looks terrible with the tire tracks digging up the yard. Why aren't we on top of that? It's the same people over and over again.
Well, I think that place was empty for a long time, and I think they've gotten back to where they
They're
were.
back now, yes.
But it has been written up. Every single house in that area has been written up, and every single house north will be written up.
I know my houses were written up.
Your house was written up. Everybody's house was written up.
But I mean, I'm not complaining.
No, I know.
If I could just we had that problem a lot in our neighborhood, so codes started coming out at night when people actually park, because they're at work during the day, so they rarely park during the day. It's always the end of their work day and then overnight or early morning. So unless you're coming out then, you're not going to ever catch anyone parking. But number 2, and this was several years ago, but we got quite aggressive in doing automatic will fines. And because of those automatic will fines,
I believe in those.
They worked tremendously, and what property owners started doing was actually paving driveways and paving parking. I mean, they got the permits, they did that, they had the space, and that looks like it belongs rather than on the grass. And so I agree, as long as you're doing all of this, but you still have that unsightly cars on the lawn, day in, day out, we might as well be living out in the country rather than just.
Yeah.
So I think that does need more effort or more thought into how you actually write those people up, and when you actually going from 9 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, you're not going to catch anybody. So timing or scheduling, I think, needs to be looked at and maybe adjusted.
Sundown to sunup.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably written up the place on South Hollywood. They took part of the picket fence that looked real pretty there, and they keep a white truck parked right on the grass. I'm not sure of the address, whether it's
23 and 19 South Hollywood.
Yeah, you got it.
And it was written up.
Any else from anybody? Now, just to reiterate what they were saying, that parking problems also happening throughout the city. South Peninsula and the 2210, 2208, 2212 area. From sundown to sunup, these cars are parked all over the front yards. Just to give you a heads up on that.
We can put it on what we're doing right now is the Daytona Proud project, and they're concentrating 90% of code on your area right now. So all the code officers are concentrating, and we don't have enough staff to, that's a staffing issue, and, that you can always talk to Tracy about that. But what we're doing right now over the next couple of months is going to be Daytona Proud, and then we have all of these cases that are coming back because we have to re-inspect 2 or 3 times. And so it's a lot of time, and effort on that part, and it's taking up 90% of our time at this point. So, I mean, we're working as hard as we can, writing every single property up, and I think all the things have been written up that you've talked about. And if we can't write stuff we can't see, but if photographs, and we can document it, and someone's willing to come in and testify, we'll bring it to code board on that. That's perfectly legal, and bring somebody in. If you see a photograph and you're willing to come to code board, we can take it without ever seeing it. So,
Frank?
Mr. Berger, I remember when each one of us was given a camera.
Yes.
With 24 or so things. I've submitted about 18 of my 24 were cars parking on the grass. Do you recall that?
I do, yes.
What happened to that program?
We went over,
They're all still parking there, is what I'm saying.
well, I would ask that, get that information, that we put the addresses on that, because we need to have a location, a geography of where that is and when it is. And I would suggest, for those of you that have the electronic, particularly a smartphone or something, what you can do is then if you have the ability to email that picture immediately over to you.
yes.
Mike,
Right.
and send it to your address, we can actually have it, it's geocoded, dated,
Right.
has all the information they need in terms of code enforcement to act on that.
I just need your name and whoever's going to testify.
Right.
Would you like me to instruct the COP units who are traveling day and night to start taking pictures for you?
I don't, whatever you all want. It has nothing to do with me.
I'm asking if you think that would help or assist in your endeavor.
No comment.
Moving on.
I just wanted to ask him when he
I can't win
sleeps.
tonight.
Item number 5, request by development and
Thank you.
administrative service.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
That's boy moving right along. Hey.
To amend the Land Development Code, LDC Article 2, Section 2.1, definitions indicating uses and categories of uses, and to amend LDC Article 12, redevelopment areas and districts, Section 2.2, to modify prohibited uses in redevelopment areas. Who wants to start?
Jason, is staff report would be helpful?
Jason Jeffries.
Then we'll have
Good-
discussion.
Good evening. This is a follow-up to our discussion that you had last month regarding social services, which has been an ongoing discussion for last year at various levels of the city. As you recall, the discussion we had last month followed a workshop that the City Commission had held in late April. And what you have in your packet is a memo. You have a cover memo from me that kind of summarizes what came out of the different redevelopment boards. All the redevelopment boards had similar discussions as this board did last at their May meetings. And you also have in the memo attached is a memo, a May 2nd memo from Richard Walton to Paul McKittrick, which basically summarizes what came out of the workshop, the City Commission workshop. So that would be the current status of the changes as it relates to social services and changes to prohibited use lists in redevelopment areas. In addition, so there's basically what we're looking for today, and I believe this board had seen this memo at your last meeting, so you're familiar with it. It had come out by the time you had your May meeting. What we're looking for today is a recommendation to the planning board. So from a basis of starting your discussion, you have the specific ordinance as it is summarized in Rich's memo. And from a starting point, I would suggest you start with Rich Walton's memo, and then based on your discussion you had last month, you see in my cover memo, there are certain items that you may want to, it's up to you, this board, and as you make your recommendation, but it's to basically recommend those modifications to the ordinance as presented by Rich Walton. So we can go through those each individually. That's how we did at the downtown board on Tuesday. Seemed to it's kind of take
Those
each.
being those items in your memo.
Well, what we did the downtown board is we basically started with Rich Walton's memo, and if there's any issues or concerns there, they first made their recommendation based on that, and then they went through each individual item. There's a Roman numerals in my memo to kind of go through each item. It seemed to kind of be a good way to straightforward process to get through this issue as you make your recommendation to the planning board. Unless there's.
Start with Jason, you want to start with,
Were you going to say something?
Well, the other thing, I was looking through it and I've seen it quite a bit on the news, and then there was a big article in the paper, the internet cafe sweepstake type places. It just seems like they're bringing a lot of problems to neighborhoods. That was
We currently deal with those by treating them as games of skill. It's not a use provided for in our code, so we choose the one that's most like it. And games of skills are allowed in tourist districts, and we have certain regulations. So the ones that are existing went in there under the guise of an internet business, and it's a matter of code enforcement going out and enforcing
And
what
seeing
our
if they're-
zoning code is. Exactly.
so that need to be addressed because it's addressed
Right.
somewhere else. Okay, thank you.
Is it addressed adequately somewhere else? Especially having heard our code?
Well, we feel it's addressed adequately.
I
It's
just-
an enforcement issue.
Okay, all right. My only thing that I would add after last month's discussion and going back, yes, we took out Turkish baths, and I understand no one uses that term, but body washes and body scrubs, I think that needs to be a prohibited use, a definition. I mean, you're going to see it. If they're not calling it a Turkish bath anymore, we're going to be rubbing people down one way or another. And I just think that there needs to be...
We'll have to, I know we looked in this issue as it regards to the massage therapy. I don't know if that would fall under those state regulations.
I don't think
Is it kind of like spa services, but different? Like illegal? I mean, is that...
It's a lot different. It's, well, actually, there used to be one right on US 92 Broadway when you came over the bridge.
Right across from the gateway.
Yeah.
Like right, or.
It was a body wash. And it's not a spa service. It's, it's trying to explain the difference between, you guys, you gotta help me out. I don't know how to
What they were, I
explain.
can help you.
Thank
I lived
you.
near there. They were rubbing people wrong.
Yeah,
So it's
you're
an
not
illegal
do-
use.
It's not a spa service.
Is it illegal under...
It's an adult use.
Okay, so it's illegal.
I don't know. See, if you just leave it open to spa, if you're taking out Turkish baths and you're leaving this idea of spa services, women in little bikinis with lots of oil on their hand or anything else, with guys in a towel, that's what a Turkish bath used to be. And that is not quite a spa service. I don't know, but I really think that needs to be discussed. What is actually... There was one, it was called Chantilly Lace, that was just off of Seabreeze on Oleander. I mean, we had, and I think there was another one down South A1A. I mean, we had these types of places in the city. And it's an adult
Massage parlor.
massage parlor, but it's
By
not a
name.
masseuse. It's not a licensed therapist. It's not going to be a licensed so I don't know if it's illegal or they just fall under that umbrella of spa service.
I mean, it sounds to me like it's an illegal use, and our analogy would be massage parlors, and where we don't regulate illegal uses.
Okay.
So we have the ones that are regulated, and if they are operating in that manner, then it's illegal, and we don't provide for it in our zoning code.
Okay.
And that's why we're taking massage parlors out because
Yeah.
they're an illegal use.
So are we really clear then on what a spa service is? Do we have
Just
that
a-
definition
you know,
anywhere in
a legal
a legal spa
spa.
service? Because are we really clear on the difference? Because that's what I'm saying. I think that's it, and maybe that's the definition that needs to be in there, so we don't end up with these springing back up. Is all I'm I do think it was a good point that was raised last month, and I would just like to make everything else I'm in complete agreement with, and I'm complete agreement with what is added in Jason's memo. But I just want to make sure that one thing is covered.
Ellen?
Well, I mean, we don't allow adult bookstores. There are a lot of things that we don't allow, and I don't know that this pertains, but a rose is a rose is a rose, by whatever name you call it. If it's a massage parlor, they can call it fancy lace or whatever they want, but if in the redevelopment area, it is not what we want.
Well, I think what we could do in the meantime,
I just don't
before
want a
this
backdoor way
before this
for
gets to
them.
planning board, maybe we'll just double check the definitions and make
Okay,
sure there's
yeah.
not something falling through
Yeah, I just
the.
don't want a backdoor way for that to open back up, because all of those were permitted businesses.
German?
I just have one question. I'm sorry I wasn't here last month. Use the microphone. Maybe it came up last month and I wasn't here, but the very first one, any accommodation except hotel, motel, and historic bed and breakfast. So that's not meant to exclude apartments or condominiums in any way, right?
No, because those are residential uses.
Okay,
There's a
and they
difference
are
between
allowed.
accommodation uses and residential
I'm not
use.
sure what other accommodation there would be except a hotel, motel, but okay.
Accommodations are those that are intended to be used by transient persons or tourists for overnight or short-term lodging.
So basically that would exclude like hostels, I guess, or YMCA.
Boarding houses, which we had a number of those,
Okay.
yeah.
We probably still have.
You good, Truman?
Yeah.
All right. Timmy?
Oh, I'm sorry, I do have one more question. On the South Atlantic, what does restaurants type A2 and A3 mean?
That refers, it's how it's defined in our land development code, and
Drive-in is one of them.
and they're kind of outdated. I think with the clarity on this will change, but I think one of them is, let me look at the definition. But I want to say I think one of them is like a car hop,
Yeah.
which is, you don't see those.
A2 or short order restaurants. That's where they have the walk-up window or drive-up windows, and then A3 are your drive-in restaurants.
And they
Drive
didn't.
in, but not drive-through window. You're saying like a Sonic, or,
Yeah, like a Sonic or a car hop would be a drive-in.
and we're excluding those
Steak
from
and Shake.
South Atlantic.
Yeah.
Only on the side that abuts the residential. It's on the west side of Atlantic and the south side of International. So those areas back up to residential, so they were excluded
Okay.
from that side, but not, on the other side.
Gotcha, okay.
Any other comments by the board?
Motion to approve a recommendation to the Planning Board for DEV 2011-025 prohibited uses in redevelopment areas to include Roman numeral 1, 2, and 3 as part of that recommendation from the June 6, 2011 Jason Jeffries Project Manager memo for the Main Street South A1A Board.
Second the motion.
Comments?
You're
Comments from
good.
the audience?
Good man.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview. One, timeshares. I noticed you don't mention those. Hotels are permitted, but timeshares are not. I see no problem with Ocean Walk. Actually, Ocean Walk is very beneficial, and it has timeshares, so I would ask you to specifically put that in, because it's not something we want to exclude. Secondly, on the scrubs, the definition is all important. If you have to, they have to be certified, because the what was it called on 92?
Can't remember.
It was a scrub, whatever it was there forever. You remember the girl in the window, the neon.
Window, yeah.
Yep, that's all I remember. I can't remember the name. but it was always very young, very attractive young ladies, which I'm absolutely well, I can't say positive. I'm guessing that they were not certified. They were there for their looks and not for their expertise. But if we could do certified, I'm almost positive that they will not go through the expense or the time of being certified as a masseuse or whatever they have to do at a college degree kind of thing. And third, I worry about, I know it's been in there for a while, but I was just thinking about it, the drive-in restaurants and whatnot. There are a lot of things that I've seen up north, and when I travel, people walk up and they get ice cream, they get all kinds of things, hot dogs and whatnot, from a window. Everything is done inside, and they're very extremely popular, especially late night and whatever. We're excluding those, all right? So if something neat and interesting comes in, like a Sonic or whatever, they're excluded from not only A1A, but also from 92.
Only the west side, John.
No, no,
That
but
backs
no
up
one's
to the
gonna-
residential.
Right, but no one's going to put that instead of a hotel. You're not going to put a
not my
20-story
problem.
hotel or a Sonic. But that's where you want them. You want them in a small area. Third, convenience stores. On your list is convenience stores. There are like 6 in your area, Main Street area. If this goes in, then they're excluded. 7-Elevens, things of that nature. I'm not quite sure whether you want, it's a fact of life. I don't find a problem with a lot of them. I think you're talking about bodegas and things of that nature, maybe what you're trying to exclude. But 7-Elevens, Kangaroos and Little Generals, whatever they are, I don't see it as a real problem. So when you say convenience stores, you are talking about the 7-Elevens, which would be 7 businesses that we do have. All right, thank you.
And I don't want to on the side of A1A.
Any other comments from the audience? We have a motion and a second. Go ahead and take a vote, I guess.
Do you want roll call or just
No, just all in favor of the motion?
aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And we'll follow up on
Thank
the
you.
research before planning board, and just wanted to mention before I go, a lot of these issues with uses and the land development code, we're in the middle of the Clarion rewrite. You're going to be seeing Module 2. It's right now under staff review. You'll be seeing that probably, I don't know if it'll be quite ready by the July meeting, but definitely by August. So that, there'll be a time to really go through and look how we're regulating and zoning in terms of uses and development standards in the redevelopment area. And the Module 2 deals with uses, essentially.
Thank you, Jason.
Go home and play with that baby.
Number 6, redevelopment project updates. Mr. Berger?
Can you help me with the screen, bring it up, please? Okay.
There we go.
All right. As far as the updates, we've finally scheduled an E-zone master plan presentation. This will be a joint meeting between the county council and the city commission that will take place Monday, this coming Monday, on June 13th at 6 o'clock. I believe it's 6 o'clock. I better check and make sure, but yes, it's still 6 o'clock. And that will be over at the County of Volusia Beach headquarters, which is at 515 South Atlantic Avenue. If you haven't been there before, this is an opportunity just to get a chance to see the building. Now that this agenda has just come out, we're contacting some of the key stakeholders who have been involved in this process from the beginning, and there'll be some general announcements as we do with other public meetings. And if you have any questions about that, you can certainly let me know now or later. Otherwise, ACOM will be here to put on that presentation, and there's an opportunity if the two bodies want to actually have a discussion that evening about the plan. And The second item, the ISB Streetscape project, that one is finally in front of us. The June 1st, the CRA took action to approve CPH Engineering to begin the design process, so we're now under contract. So that means we'll begin the public information process fairly quickly. I don't have a schedule yet. We're actually meeting tomorrow with the engineering firm, and then we will let people know, and the primary stakeholders, start getting them involved, and later on we'll have some public meetings on the progress of that work. And we'll keep you updated as we get additional information. The Breakers Park is, we finally have the fountain up and running. So we've fixed a number of the problems in there, and we have a little bit more work to do to make sure that it is working all of the time, that when we need it. Obviously, it won't be on at night, but when we do have supervision there, that fountain should be working. When we have tourists here, we want that fountain on. So that's our goal, and we're making progress with that improvement. Board appointments, I know you've been waiting a long time. Well, we just approved an agenda for next week's meeting, and that is on the docket for next Wednesday before the commission to make a decision on the appointments. And once again, I would really like to thank that Mr. Heckman and Mrs. Humphreys, your time and your willingness to come to these meetings, waiting for this change to occur. So hopefully we'll have some action next week, and hopefully we'll still be all keeping in touch with you, because we really appreciate that.
Can we bring our plaques back for a representation?
Yeah.
I didn't hear your answer.
Sure, Mr. Heckman, anytime.
All right, thank you. I want a picture this time.
Okay. Very good.
That one?
Well, on that note, I do want to thank again. I love that plaque. Two things. It's a difficult time. The palm trees have set out their spears, and a lot of them are going to seed.
Mm-hmm.
It is a good time to cut them because it's a lot less trash. They are pretty when they bloom. The problem is some of them haven't started, so you're between a rock and a hard place as to just when to do it. I did have someone from a western city a customer, and he asked me why Main Street was not beautiful, and he said it wouldn't take much money to beautify it, and he did mention large tubs of flowers, which I concur with. As to whether it would cost a lot of money, I still think that we need to stop treating Main Street like it's an orphan, and just a couple of nice big tubs, big enough to hold enough soil and liquid, the flowers would really look pretty, and I hope that we would perhaps do that before I leave this board.
Very good.
You're on the spot now, Reed.
I've been on the spot for some time now. Could I just mention one other thing? We do have an animation that was provided to us by AECOM. It's a very short, I think, a minute and a half looped animation that we can show you for just a second. You have a minute?
Sure.
We'll just show that to you on the screen, and for people that might be watching the television, they can see what the E-zone is starting to look like, and gives you a general sense. It's not all in detail, but this starts to show you the changes. That's phase one, and in phase two, and as it starts to develop over time, it will not necessarily move in this order, but this is the most likely progression of development that we might see in that area. And you can see that the pier may expand in the future, that Breakers Park would be expanded, and there would be a lot more public amenities along the ocean front, the extension of the boardwalk. That all could happen as a part of this project. And we expect 5 hotels when it's all built out, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 plus quality convention hotel rooms and the other amenities that go with an entertainment district.
Wow.
So that will give you some sense of the scale, the mass. You know, you're looking at the traffic circle, which is a radical departure from what we normally do. And you can see that a Ferris wheel has been actually placed on an expansion of the pier. So there's a little dreaming going on, but there's a lot of reality. A lot of work went into this to work with the various property owners and involve them in the entire process and give everyone a sense of what might be in the future. It's ambitious, particularly when the economy is where it's at. But at least now we have a plan, and that's one of the most important things we continue to hear about is get your plan. If I'm going to be an investor, I need to know you really are committed to this. So now it's time for us to show our commitment. And that's the plan as it stands today. And you're hopefully going to see it in the next 5 years. You'll see the beginnings of that plan. And hopefully phase 1 will start. And then we'll do a lot of short-term work in those first 5 years, and we'll start talking about that next week. Okay? That's it. Thank you.
Looks good.
I have one comment on it. I hate to even bring this up, but looking at that animation there and knowing what goes on the ocean and the pier, every time we talk about the E-Zone, we keep talking about this concrete pier and a Ferris wheel out there. Maybe you can't even answer this, Reed, but do you know if anybody from ACOM has even talked to anybody in Florida Fish and Wildlife or the Federal Fish and Wildlife about that pier? I mean, just to give an idea if they can or can't, because I don't see how that's going to get done.
Right now, I mean, we have certain entitlements, and obviously it'll take the cooperation with all of the different folks. But again, this is optimistic. So this is if we're going to go forward on this, it may take some time to put all the pieces in place. But I think the expansion of the pier or building a second pier is still high on that list. And we got to also remember that a lot of what's in here and in this plan comes from the citizens, the stakeholders that are out in that area that said, these are the things that are important to us. And ACOM's job was to listen to that and start to put it together and then ask, ultimately, the commission, do you want this plan to look like this? Or is this too much? But
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see that go into effect, but I'm just curious, is that what we really, is that too much pie in the sky? Thank you. I mean,
I don't think so. I mean, if you can't put it in there and say this is where we'd like to be, you'll never get there. So we need to put what we want in there, and I think the same is true with. It doesn't show up there, but the whole idea of that artificial reef, it's in the master plan. It is a part of that plan, and those are big deals, and it's a major undertaking. But once we know, we think that's where we're headed, then we can apply some resources and efforts to try to make it happen, and see where we are.
I hope it could. I would love to see that thing go through. I really, really would.
Good, and maybe we can all work together and rub shoulders together as we try to bring others into the vision that have the resources to help us get it done.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with you. I'd love to see it happen too. Mm-hmm. I just feel at my age, I hope I live long enough to see it.
Truman.
Reed, I've asked this one many times, and I know that was a rough form SketchUp fly through, but the Coquina Arch wasn't there.
It will be there. I assure you. That arch is a part of the the overall.
It wasn't in that. but
It is
okay.
not in no, but it is there.
Okay, and one more question. Breakers Park. Why are those restrooms locked at 5 o'clock every day? I mean, there's only public restrooms when, I don't know how far of Main Street, and when we have even the Saturday night fireworks or New Year's Eve, or there's no public restrooms. They lock them at 5 o'clock every day, and it seems, I mean, I kind of understand why, but then why have them?
Well, they work for those that are there during those times, and unfortunately, right now, it's a budget issue for maintaining someone out there who will take care of those. You cannot
Well,
leave
New
them
Year's Eve,
without
You
maintenance.
throw a big bash on Main Street, and there's no bathrooms. And, I mean, there are porta potties here and there, but those don't work real well for my 7-year-old daughter. And and particularly in Bike Week, you encourage people to go in the alleys. I mean,
Well, the special events, again, are a challenge, and maybe we're not providing enough facilities during those special events, but I think your point is well taken, that for those individuals that are out there that we want to encourage coming after 5 o'clock, we want to provide the services that you would be accustomed to if you go to any tourist area.
well, during Bike Week, the only porta potties even that were available were inside the bars, and they would not let minors through the gate to go to them. So your only choices are go out to the boardwalk and go into the arcades. Which I don't know if y'all have ever been in there. That's not a real nice experience. Or find an alley, because there absolutely was no public restrooms available during Bike Week, and I'm not talking about at midnight, but at 5, 6, 7 o'clock. You know, and there's a lot of kids out there at that hour.
Even on the band shell area, last Saturday night, we probably had 1,000 people sitting in the band shell and along the walls and so on. And the most frequent question asked of me is, where can I relieve myself? And where do you tell them? You know, unfortunately.
Well, there at least you do have restrooms in the Ocean Walk, you know,
Yeah.
on 2 floors. At least there's something there within walking distance. At Main Street, there's not.
No.
I have to correct something there. During Bike Week, I know that there are porta potties. I know that we put one on our parking lot for the Christian motorcyclists that use our, and on the side parking lot, there's another one there for vendors to use. And the city puts in a number of them in city parking lots. So I know that up and down Main Street, there are porta
New
potties.
Year's Eve, we did have a lot of cities set up a bunch of them. On Bike Week, I did not see any set up by the city. They were all set up by the bars, all I could find, merchants or whatever.
No, I'm not a bar, and I
Every
have,
single
Okay,
one in
is
the
there
parking lot. I may
not
have missed it, but-
a Bike Week task force or for Main Street area or something like that?
Yes, and the Chamber of Commerce is really the manager of that
So
in
my point was gonna
partnership
be, can,
with the city.
instead of continue, this on for the next hour.
No,
can you
we'll,
forward this
I've taken
to
a note here, and
Chamber and
I will do that.
make sure they address that and let them come up with enough bathrooms next time around. Public comments. There's been more board comments on redevelopment. I know. Come on up to the mic.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. The city does put out 12, or Peabody puts out 12 portalets right at the Peabody itself at the corner, and then they have 2 at each street that they park motorcycles on, so there are out there. Breakers Park, they open up around 10:30-ish when the guy comes in. He closes for lunch from 12 to 1, and he closes them again at 4:30, so they're open for about 5 hours a day. They're supposed to be open for 10, but the city illegally closed it from what I understand. The city also has converted 6 other locations into storage facilities. There were 2 bathrooms at the band shell. They've converted those over for storage. They have others at the Peabody. They've converted to storage. The city gave $10 million to the Marriott to have 2 bathrooms in there, or 4 actually, 2 men, 2 ladies. They closed them. Occasionally, they will open the ones facing the ocean, but they don't open the ones that are in the breezeway. So there are public bathrooms out there, 6 of which we've lost permanently, all right? They could be reopened, but it's up to the city. They don't consider bathrooms an amenity. We used to have showers, but the remake of the boardwalk, they took the showers away. The steps nearest the showers, they took out, so now you have to walk 110 feet to get to the showers and then walk back through the sand to get to it. So we're not very tourist-friendly or resident-friendly. You're having meetings for turtle lighting. I don't know if you guys have been hearing about them. I know we're having them. I've asked to attend them so that I know what's going on. It's something I think you all should be aware of. It's really important. The reef, you had an animation. It does not show what it would look like with the reef went in. There would be an extension of the sand, and it would be an extension of the sand dunes. It would be something nice that you all would see, because it really would enhance. Like Miami Beach and Fort Lauderdale, when they extended their beaches, they got much more use out of it. I think it would be a tremendous asset for you all to see it and to know what an extended beach would be and how many extra feet you would have. And in your animation, you had the palms on Main Street replaced with trees. Is that just for looks, or is that what we were planning to do, take the palms out and put real trees in? That's the last of the questions.
Thanks. Mr. Ken.
Ken Paz, 33 South Oleander. I was hoping Captain Hoffman would be here tonight. I know there's not much this board can do about it, but we're seem to be having a large number of homeless people in Surfside Village now. The petty crime rate is up terribly. Bicycles are being stolen left and right. My neighbor Kim and her husband caught a serial burglar today in their backyard. In fact, he was living in Virginia Brown's apartment in the back and found a whole cache of stolen material in there. So, if there's anything this board can do to ask the police to please do what they can to make the homeless people go somewhere else. I'm tired of watching everything, tired of worried about things disappearing and children's bicycles, things like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something about that? I'm very, very new to the community. I've only been here about 6 months.
I didn't hear what you said.
Kimberly Kohler, I live at 34 South Oleander. I do come from a tourist area, Destin, Florida, where they do have the circle drives and the palm trees, the extended. So I agree with everything that you guys said, but like Ken said, we're having a horrible, horrible crime wave right there on Main Street and Oleander especially. People like myself that go to work, we pay rent. I want to leave the area because it's so bad and nothing's getting done. So what, in turn, I'm afraid is going to happen to Daytona Beach is people that are willing to pay $9, $10, $1,000 a month to live there are going to leave, and then we're going to be stuck with renters that pay $400, $500 or are homeless. Yeah. And we've got issues, like with the parking. I completely agree that looks horrible, people parking on the grass. But what about the homeless people sleeping on the grass that the police drive right by, right across from the police station?
Wow.
Yeah. I walk my dogs probably, 2-3 times a day, walk my kids to the bus stop. There was almost a rape at the children's bus stop yesterday, 2 days ago.
Mr. Chairman, may
Wow.
I add to that for the benefit of everyone here, but especially the two people who just addressed the board. You do have one opportunity, and that's 24 hours from now. If you'll be at the Schnebley Rec Center, that is at Driftwood and A1A, you will see Captain Huffman, you will see the police chief, and the whole command staff will be there, and it's known as a CompStat meeting.
Okay.
That will be at 6:30, and there'll be some light refreshments served, and I will be there as well, and you'll surely have every opportunity to address the chief, Mr. Hoffman, or anyone who you would like to address, any city officials that may be there.
I had one quick question about that. I noticed that you guys brought up taking the pictures of the cars in the yards and stuff. Would that also apply to the homeless people? If there's a slew of them sleeping in the yard, can we snap a shot with the address, email it in,
Absolutely, yes.
turn it in? Because I would be more than glad to
I
do
would
that. I'd be
caution
more than
you-
glad to testify. I'm sick of Daytona Beach side. It's horrible.
Ma'am, I would caution you, if you're going to take pictures of those people, if they are not totally sleeping and they see you taking a picture, it could be injurious to your health.
Injured and what?
Well, what I mean is, the homeless
They could
people
come
do
in.
not
They could
like
attack
to-
me, yeah.
They could come after you.
They do not like to be photographed.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
No.
You know, and is it, could we just walk up and say, do you live here, you know?
No, I wouldn't
wouldn't do it.
engage,
No,
I
I
would
wouldn't
not
engage
engage
them.
in any conversation
Maybe
with
with
them.
just a phone or
Because
something?
they're very combative.
Okay,
And I would strongly urge that if you have a situation that you need questions asked and answers from them, get a police officer.
okay,
And you don't have to get 911 to do it. The Beachside Precinct is open from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m., and they can, on their radio, summons an officer down there, and you won't have to go through the 911 process.
good deal. Because I noticed that they had said that the code enforcement stops, you know, in the afternoon, and these are problems that are happening after dark, after hours, late at night. Because of course they're not going to be laid up in someone's yard at 5 in the afternoon, but at 10:30 at night they are, you know. And what do we do about that?
Question, is it a vacant lot where there, or is it's someone's living in that home?
Someone lives in the home, and they actually put food out for the homeless people.
Wow. Okay.
That's, okay.
Helen.
Well, you're the kind of person that we're looking for. Please do not leave Daytona. I mean, we've
I'm
got.
trying not to.
Yeah.
My house, I've made probably 2 or 3 police reports since I've been here myself, to the
Uh-huh.
point where I'm making so many of my neighbors mad that they are going to retaliate against me. You know, I called the police on my friend today.
Have you talked to your city commissioner, Miss Kelly White?
Oh,
Well-
she's
well,
good.
You know, it would only be a phone call, but the more phone calls she will be receiving about a certain issue, the more action you may be
I've
receiving.
currently talked to a lot of the neighborhood moms because we all walk to the bus stop, so I know a lot of the children hang around my house. So I've been communicating with them and saying, hey, they've already got a neighborhood watch program going on, but as long as all of us turn our head, it's not going to get any better.
That's.
So hopefully I can get some other people involved. And a lot of the people are like, no, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to tell on anyone. And that leaves people like us, and my husband and myself, to be the tattletales, to say, no, what you're doing is not right.
Just-
You know?
You just mentioned you started a neighborhood watch.
No, I said I've talked to some of the local moms to say there is a neighborhood watch. We need to be a part of this.
Yeah,
And-
and well, there's the man to talk to.
yeah, I've got the flyer. I was on it today. I had a whole group of them, 4 police officers, all the neighborhood people out right in front of my house saying, look, guys, this isn't going to stop until we stop it. We can't put it on the police. We can't put it on code, because if it's only a suspicious act, which was the last police report that I had, because there's a crack dealer right across the street from my house, because it was a suspicious act, there was nothing they could do about it. But as a community, we can say, we don't want you here. The police might not be able to throw you out, but we can sit there physically and say, we don't want you here. We're watching what you do. We want you to leave. But we can't do it alone, you know? So I'm kind of at the point, what do? I don't want to leave. I would rather stay there and rent. And God forbid, my apartment costs me a lot of money every month, and it is not worth it at all. I don't want to pay $1,000 to live on Oleander because it's not worth it.
I wish I had known about you. I have a place that's much less than that, but somebody's
My
renting it.
landlord's great. I love my landlords. They're fabulous. It's not the home itself. It's
Yeah.
just the neighborhood.
What goes, yeah.
Yeah, this is the second bicycle that has almost been stolen.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
And then, sad as it is to say, the lady, I knew they were out doing burglaries, you know, and I told her, you need to stop this or you're going to go to jail. And sure enough, I had to be the one today to report her. And her 2 little kids, she has 2 boys, that are going to suffer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Get a zapper. Get a electric zapper.
I've got one.
Also, ma'am, next Tuesday night, the 14th, if you'll be at the Beachside Neighborhood Watch at the Community United Methodist Church, only steps from your house, Captain Huffman will be there, the city manager will be there. He also will be talking about the E-zone and the pier and so on. It would be 1 hour well spent.
I will be there.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, that
Timmy,
is
board
terrible.
comments.
Well, just to piggyback on what she just said, since schools have got out, and it's just that time of year again, it seems like we were doing really well with the homeless problem and the roaming youths in the neighborhood. Every Friday and Saturday night now, since schools have got out, they're especially like right around the Burger King area and all that, we've been having fights in the parking lots. Just all kinds of things have been going on. The homeless problem is getting bad again. And this is our peak time right now where we've got a lot of families and stuff. And we need to put our best foot forward to hopefully, because last year we got a nice influx of people from the Gulf side because of the spill, which artificially, elevated our business, which this year we're not going to have. And we just need to, to really fight for what business and what people we're bringing to the area and not to turn them off. I've been getting complaints in the businesses about, just why are there so many panhandlers? And especially, like I said, especially at night, on Friday and Saturday nights, it's awful. The Saturday night, I called 911 3 times. Wow. From a shoplifter in the business to a homeless guy that wouldn't leave the Baskin-Robbins property to the brawl that was going on in Coate Street. And one of the biggest problems on Coate Street, there's no lights. There's no lights either off the parking garage or pole lights outside, and it's just very, very dark there. The lights from the transfer station for the bus, from the Votran area, the terminal there, it just doesn't come out into the street. And it's just it's really dark back there, and there's just they just hang out back there, the kids, the bums, whoever. So it's just a constant fight over there, and I have to assume it's like that all the way up and down Coates. So if we want to make that, especially where the parking garage, if we want to make it more of a pedestrian alley where people come up, between our property and the Politis property, we put a walkway because of the parking garage between our properties years ago when it was done, to have people give the pass through there. But it's really, really dark back there. It just makes a dangerous area. So, but yeah, that's it.
Gosh. I just wanted to piggyback as well. Please stay. And we were in this situation. We lived north of Seabreeze, between Seabreeze and University, when we moved in 20 years ago, with condemned houses around us, crack houses. There was a brothel 2 streets over. And it's been 20 years and we're still fighting. And it's gotten a lot better, but it does seem to go in waves. We have had the same round. There is not a safe bicycle anywhere in our neighborhood. My husband and I got up yesterday morning to find our garage wide open. We lock ours to the beams in the garage, and they tried to use our hacksaws and our hedge trimmers to get the bikes unlocked. Okay, so, and our garage is like right next to the kitchen door. So this is, and it's happening. The commissioner in our neighborhood's had a bike stolen. This is happening everywhere. It seems in the last 3 weeks, it's like the roaches have come out of the woodwork. And certainly I will be at the ComStat meeting tomorrow night. But I will say it happens. It used to seem like it was 365 days a year. Now it seems to be more in waves. And if you can hold on through the waves and fight it and work together, it does get better. And we were in the same position. I had neighbors who hated me because we turned them in, But long term, it makes a difference. And I just had to figure, okay, would I rather have them hate me or would I rather have a nice neighborhood? Well, I wanted a nice neighborhood. So I would just say stick with it and just don't give up hope. But also it's not just the Main Street area. We have experienced the roving gangs of youth. Groups of young guys. I never see women, girls. It's always guys.
Well, they're mixed in it too now.
Well, I haven't seen up in ours, but anywhere from 4 to 8 traveling together, checking things out. And again, it's been in the last 3 weeks, it seems to have just mushroomed. So I certainly will be at ComStat to point that out to our police. Because police are doing great on a lot of the major crimes, but it's these petty ones. And if you can't control the petty ones, the major ones will grow again. So I think it's just getting focused back on that.
Helen?
Well, I really don't know much about this, but I thought the Salvation Army had bought some property west of town and wanted to put something in. They were going to move where they were on Blue Road, and I didn't know how that thing...
They're never
Didn't happen.
They're not.
They're never going to move from Balloon.
No.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, that's their office, headquarters, church. but they're never going to, the service area that's over on Blue,
Yeah,
they'll never give that up.
Truman.
that isn't what,
Frank?
Well, is this my last meeting?
No.
You never know, Frank. You may see me again.
Well, I'm not going to say my farewells, my thank you now. If I'm here on the board next meeting, I will do it then. If not, I will be out there with my plaque, and I'll,
We will make sure we recognize you if you're sitting out there, Frank.
under citizens' comment, if I'm not called up before, I will be up there with my plaque.
And we will give you 3.5 minutes, Frank.
Keep your pants on this one.
I don't have no comments other than, please stay, we've all fought the fight, and we'll continue to fight the fight.
It makes it really hard.
I raised a daughter here, and unfortunately, she left this area because there just wasn't much here for her. And Reed, this is a good example of why we need that E-zone that you showed us up there to go through. So whatever we can do, we're behind you. Let's do it. Let's get it done. If there's no other comments, then I'm going to adjourn this meeting at
Very good.
7:45.
Wow.
And you lied to me.
Pretty good.